Hi, Chris. Lovely to meet you, mate.
Good to see you.
Long time. Well, I'm Dr. Roger Down. I'm a specialist surgeon, and I was the only surgeon in the Whitsunday region providing skin cancer and melanoma services, all done under local anaesthetic. As a result, I was living partly in Brisbane for half of the week and half of the week in Airlie Beach for my wife's purposes, to look after the grandkids, and I needed an aeroplane to travel between Brisbane and the Whitsundays, a total distance of 500 nautical miles. I spent 2 years researching the best type of aeroplane, initially looking at citations, but they were very expensive to maintain, and found the Eclipse, which is a fully pressurized commercial jet which flies to 41,000 feet at 370 knots true airspeed, which is about 30 to 40 knots slower than a commercial aeroplane. We fly in the same airspace. It's very silent, and takes about an hour and a half from Brisbane to the Whitsundays.
So I suppose I can say that I've got Roger to thank for starting my love of aviation. Been lucky to fly in Moonies, twin props, 210s at a very young age. Was definitely got me in the right direction, and I was quite happy and lucky. And I'm just lucky enough that I've got back in contact with Roger. He actually called me at the office, and I was quite surprised, and he was telling me how proud he was of me. And he's actually coming up today, which I'm pretty excited about, to take me for a fly in Timmy in the Eclipse 500. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So I'll put the beacon on and I'll perform the start. To perform the start, which is all FADEC controlled engines, all we have to do is to turn the knob to start and look here. We've started the left engine, the ignition is on, it's rotating, at 13% it will ignite, which it has done. The temperature is rising and there's an oil pressure. So that engine will now take care of itself. We don't need to worry about it. So while that's happening, we go across to the ops page and we do the weight and balance. We put the weights of the occupants in there, and it will show me on the CFG limits what my takeoff weight will be, which is 5,781 pounds currently, and the CFG is in the center. We accept that weight and we return to ops. We then go to V-speeds to set the temperature by pressing that button and turning that. The temperature is 24 degrees outside because it measures it automatically. And when the manual light comes on, we press VR. That is my rotational speed for takeoff, which is now set at 89 knots. It says flaps set to takeoff, so we move the flap lever here to the takeoff position. Having done all that, we return to ops. And before we start the full systems test, so we can check that the flaps have come down to the takeoff position and the magenta line disappears when it does. We can start the second engine now and again. The ignition is on, it's rotating, the fuel flow is in, at 13% it will ignite, and we have it checked that we have an oil pressure. Okay, I just do a what we call a fast check, which keeps you safe. Sufficient fuel, flaps are set, altitude is set, speed is 89 knots. If we lose an engine before 60 knots, we're going to brake and pull the engines. After that, we're going to take off on a single engine and come back. Okay, we have full throttle, the APR is armed, the airspeed is alive, the engine's instruments and pressures are correct. Rapidly accelerating to 89 knots. Rotate before the cross runways. Accelerate to 120 knots and raise the flaps. We're now above 300 feet, so we pull the power back to maximum continuous thrust, and we're going to continue straight ahead.
Chris Burdett was playing with my son. They were good mates. They lived across the road from where we were in Caboolture, and I took him flying. Tim was a brilliant lad. He was the epitome of what I am. He was capable, driven, did a lot of things for charity. He rode from Brisbane to Sydney to raise $15,000 for kids' cancer, and he was always very caring and loving to other people. He went on to do his instrument rating, his commercial pilot's license, and his airline transport license, and was just getting the hours up. He'd done 850 hours and was working with the charter company that I used to own. We don't know what happened that day, but it was Australia's worst aviation crash at Lockhart River. When the captain was flying, Tim was the non-pilot flying, or pilot monitoring as we now call it, and they hit the mountain and 15 people were killed instantly. Tim amongst them. I looked at the instrument approach into Lockhart River, and for reasons beyond my ken, CASA had designed it so that it was a 7-degree offset to the runway heading. Had it been along the runway heading, the accident could never have happened because it was down a valley. And that's the tragedy, where mistakes happen. We don't know exactly what happened in the cockpit that day because the cockpit voice recorder was not working. Anyway, they all died. I miss my son dearly. But he was a great inspiration to me.
Oh, this brings back some memories, right, Roger?
Yeah. Fabulous, isn't it?
Beautiful.
I don't think I've seen it that close up.
Landing gear.
Now that landing gear call that you can hear is once below 140 knots, it will come on if you don't have the gear out.
Caboolture traffic, Bushcat 25085 miles to the north, inbound for circuit, Caboolture.
Well, that was fun. Thanks very much, Roger. What a ball.
That's all right. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's always good to fly with you, for sure.
But it's...
brings back a lot of memories.
I think, yes, absolutely. Really wonderful to have you. And I'm so thrilled to have met up with you again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, the shutdown is very straightforward. Just turn both engines off.
Tango Zulu at Lake Carramundi, 4 Bribey over water, not
Check
above
that they're
500.
coming down. We'll get a caution warning and then you turn your generators, start battery, bus tie off. Press that.
Oh, yeah, mate.
That's it.
Oh, thanks
very much, mate.
Good to see you.
Yeah, well, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, for sure.
that'll be
Sounds
really
great.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
lovely.